Hello, I'm Kevin. Today I'll be talking about the Abrams. As you all see my last video, I've done a 60-mile ride on it, and everyone know that the Abrams has a problem, and I know that as well. And obviously, with my Abrams, I don't seem to have the problem that everyone is some people experience. And I know there's a lot of rumor and true of video while they're sitting down, the wheel cut off, and while they're riding or braking, then the wheel just cuts out. This is going back to the beginning when we had the demo wheel as well. But I myself, I bought the first batch of the Abrams, and I got one myself, and I've been riding it all this time, and obviously my one hasn't got any problem. And the only time that I found it had a problem was when I was going over a speed bump at high speed, which is at the limit of the wheel. So it's about 45 miles per hour over a speed bump. And then what happened was that I heard a beep. So I can feel the wheel, like there's not enough power to sustain it. Because when you hit a bump, it needs that power. As it lands, it needs that power to sustain you. And being a rider for so long, I know how the wheel behaved. So by going over 45 near the limit and hit a speed bump, and that surge of power, it caused the wheel to beep, and I can feel that it's kind of like going to go off. So I mean, by experience, so obviously I can feel it and try to recover anyway, so recover without any problem. Now with Abrams, I mean, especially the veteran Shermans and the Max, they use this fuse connector, and the fuse connector is a great idea. It had a fuse to protect the battery short circuit, to protect the ball. But what I find is on my other video, as you've seen in my forum, is the fuse connector. It's secure, okay, but after a while you're riding it, I find they all start to go loose. Although they got silicone on it, but they all need tightening up. So that's the first thing I did with my Abrams, is to check the fuse connector and tighten it with lock nut and everything. Make sure it's not loose. So you got to make sure the connectors are tight, because when it's new, it's tight. But after a while, when you're riding it, doing vibrations and all that, it becomes a bit loose. So this is what's happening with all the Sherman. I find is every Sherman that come in for service, which I looked at, all the fuse connectors are loose, 100%. So I've been saying to everyone is, if you have a Sherman, check your fuse connectors. So even the Abrams as well, the Abrams has that problem, and I know that for sure because I got one, and mine was done firstly, and especially with Abrams is as you know, the back socket. Let me show you mine. As you can see here, this is my Abrams. It's all dusty. I haven't had time to wash it yet. So on my last video, I've done 60 miles. And the one before that, I've done another 70 miles. And the one before that, I've done 100 miles on it. And it's been through trail, dirt, and everything without any problems. So even at high speed, and I ride it. I mean, high speed on road is a cruise wheel, very stable high speed wheel. And you got to know your wheel. Obviously, it has its limit. The top speed is 50 mile limit max. So don't go over that. So max is 50 mile wheel, this one. But to be on the safe side, I always ride about 45 or 46, 47, that's it, no more. So that's a safe speed. I would, safe speed, but on a smooth road. With bumps and things like that, so just keep it about 45. That will be a safe limit for the Abrams. And as I said before, the light here. So the light socket, it has a USB and a charger here. And on the back of this, if it gets wet, it will go inside the light and it will short circuit it. So the light has to be silicone so that the water doesn't get in. If it gets into the charging circuit, then that can cause the wheel to cut out. So that's the light circuit. And also the battery fuse connector has to be done properly. It has to be checked. So that has to be checked 100%. You can't have one battery okay, the other one not. So if there's any loose on the connector, the wheel will be not enough power to sustain the wheel. So that's very important. And also on my Abrams, there wasn't anything wrong with it at all. But after I did that, and as I said before, with that beep when I go over the speed bump, what I have done is I also modify my Abrams. Okay, so I get 2 miles more than the standard Abrams, that the stock Abrams, because I modified the board by adding a couple more capacitor into the capacitor is already there. So what I've done was I put another 2 capacitor in parallel with the 2 capacitor on the board, and that improved it horrendously. So I went again to 45 miles per hour over a high speed bump, and it did not beep after adding the capacitor, and I can feel the wheel is more stable as well. So yeah, so that's my Abrams, and let's as you can see on my other video, my last video, 60 mile, no problem whatsoever. I know you guys out there say this is a cut-off wheel and all that, but I mean, I own one myself, and I've been riding it. And if it's not safe, I will not ride it myself. I mean, obviously, I've done something to my wheel, which I will show you what I've done to it on my video. So check it out and see what you think. Okay, the Abrams backlight, and you see there, there's water gone in there. So this light is not waterproof, and it's quite high voltage as well. It's 90 volt to 100 volt, so it's quite dangerous having a high voltage, and this is not waterproof. See, we already have some condensation, corrosion here, look. And here. And here. So what I'm going to do is just quickly clean that up, because the those voltages there, they're very high. I mean, they're 100 volt along here. So this is the charging socket, which is 100 volt, and this is the second charging socket, which is 100 volt. So there's very high voltage here, and if water gets into here, which short circuit those pins, okay, or any debris when you're riding, if it shorts, then the wheel will cut because of a short circuit. So I've got some fast dry contact cleaner here from WD-40. Just spray that on there. So after cleaning it, you see that it's nice and clean, so no residues there. And now what we're going to do is seal this up. So you see the cover is there, and there's holes coming through there as well, you see there? That's all inside. So we're going to seal along here with the silicone and all along the edges. So I've got some black high heat resistant silicone sealant. So they're 25-year life. So they're fantastic stuff. They're high quality silicone. Okay, this can be used in an engine. So that's how good they are. Up to 300 degree, internal and external. So there's no sag resistant, nothing. So this is the HT30 bonded premium quality sealant. So they're black stuff. They're fantastic stuff. And you see I put sealant all round the cover, all round the nut bit as well, and the screw hole. Okay, another one. So that's just been opened. Let's see if it's loose or tight. Yeah, okay. So there's quite a few turns. So this needs to be tightened, definitely, on all veteran Abrams. Tighten it, okay, and put something on it. Silicone or hot glue, anything that holds it in. So it doesn't move. Okay, this is the Abrams 100% charge. Now, 3 wheel spin test. $59 miles cut off, okay, with the normal Abrams, no modification. Okay, test 2. This is the veteran Sherman, been modified with double capacitor. So instead of 2 capacitor, there's 4 capacitor. There you go. There you can see there. Okay, veteran Abrams. Okay, 4 capacitor instead of 2. 2 extra one added on. So now we're gonna see what the top speed spin is. So, ready for it? Let's go! Let's see what we can get out of this baby. Well, I can feel it's definitely more stable. It's before it goes to 59, the wheel doesn't vibrate so much. It's less vibrations. So that means it's more sturdy. Let's try that again so I can get the second feel, what it's like, yeah? So let's go again. $30 miles, 40. Yeah, it's not beeping. 50, beeping, 50. Wow. Now I'm very satisfied with that because it's actually staying up at 50. It's not vibrating. So I think this is a lot more safe now. So before, when I ride over a bump at 45 miles per hour, it beeps. But now I can confident riding at 45, hitting a bump, it doesn't beep because it's more capacitor to keep the wheel upright. So if the battery drop, the capacitor still maintain the wheel. So yeah, it feels a lot more stable on the top spin speed. So this is definitely worth doing. So yeah, it's an extra safety really. So you got more capacitor to keep the wheel up just before it drops. But so it makes the wheel harder to drop or cut out with that extra power to sustain the wheel. At least you got time to slow down. Yeah, let's do that once more. So this is 100%. Battery is on 100%. Yeah, it doesn't vibrate. It doesn't vibrate at 50 that much. Wow. Yeah. So hitting at 52, 55, the wheel still maintain. You know, I just smell it. All the chemical. Yeah, the whole sash is still cold. Yeah. So the capacitor is there, all stuck on, which is great. So this is the modification. Extra battery. Okay, so instead of 2, now we got 4 to keep the wheel up. And it does feel better. It does definitely feel better. So on my wheel with the modifications, I'm sure there will be a lot of questions and I need to answer. You know, by doing the modification on the Abrams. But obviously, I only do it on my Abrams because I'm the one who'll be riding it, and I've got to make sure what I'm riding is safe, obviously. And so my wheel, I know my wheel, and I know my wheel is safe for me to ride. So especially on this Abrams, and it's done quite a few hundred miles without any problem at all. That's my wheel with the modifications. And yeah, I am a electronic engineer background, so obviously been riding the wheel so long, I know how they work. And yeah, I know there will be a lot of questions. I will be busy answering those questions, but yeah, so yeah, and see what you think.